All right, guys, so this is scary as fuck, right? The reason for that is because I've been wanting to start this podcast, Uncomfortable Chats, for a long time. And I've been nervous. Even right now, I'm nervous. My body feels nervous. I feel tight. I feel scared. But I just need to talk. And the reason why that this is so important is because Uncomfortable Chats is about talking about things that are uncomfortable, things that are taboo. And I was struggling with how I wanted to start this, let alone how I'm going to introduce this to people for it to resonate and for it to be different. And there wasn't any real goal behind it in terms of monetizing it or just trying to be something I'm not. The whole reason for Uncomfortable Chats is for me to be able to show who I am as a person without being misunderstood. And I've been talking about this for a few years, and right now I know I'm waffling, right? This won't make sense, but the best way to start this, like when I was speaking to my girl Naomi 2 weeks ago, long story short, like there's always been this theme around me where people just never understood me, and that has been really hard growing up, and also trying not to be the person that I was grown to be, if that makes sense. So the only way to describe who I am now versus who I was and who I was grown to be is by going into the past and kind of exploring some of the things that I went through, so people understand that the person I am today is not the person I was meant to be. And that's why when people misunderstand me and portray me to be something I'm not, whether it's based on my looks or what they heard from someone else or anything, right? Like I've had situations where people looked at me and they decided they don't like me. I've been told that it's because of the way I walk, the way I speak, because I'm very direct, I'm very honest, I'm very happy, I'm very loving, I'm very bubbly. And people are not used to people that show genuine love and honesty and just being themselves. They always think there's something else to it. And I've been portrayed as a lot of things that have just never been true. And there's a lot of women and men that I know that have been in the same scenario as me. We may have not gone through the same experiences, but they understand the whole concept of being misunderstood and being painted as something that you're not. And it's hard because when you're someone who's gone through so much shit in life and has worked on themselves to not be what they were meant to be, it really makes you feel like, nah, like I need to bite back. But then you think about the person you are now versus the person you were, and it's like, if I bite back, my bite back ain't gonna be like yours. Because my bite back comes from a lot of pain, trauma, and things that I have put away and I have dealt with. And I don't want that shit to come back. Because if that shit comes back, it ain't gonna be pretty. So to start this off properly, I don't really know where to start. But just the basis of me, right? So I came here to the UK a few years ago, well, when I was around 14. I'm now 27 years old. So I've been here for a long time, but I've never really, just because I went from one culture to another culture and I was exposed to different things. Like, when I told my girl Naomi, I've got bangs, guys, and this shit's in my eyes. I'm still getting used to it. When I told my girl Naomi, this is why I said this is going to be hard and I don't really know to start. So if I waffle, I waffle. But I was telling my girl Naomi, because she don't know nothing about me. And a lot of people don't know a lot of things about me. And the people that know things about me and what I went through as a child growing up are astounded that I'm the person I am today and that I'm even the way I am. So I realistically, I shouldn't be alive. I shouldn't be here. I am a miracle to myself, and I know I'm protected. Whether people want to talk about God, the universe or whatever it is, I just know I'm protected because, like, I'll give you an example. I found out when I was younger that my biological dad was feeding my biological mom birth control pills for 9 months to kill me. Like, so even me being in the UK, the only reason why I'm here is because my biological mom flew me and my little sister out here because she needed to extend her time here because she was escorting and because she's a porn star. And that is even another story in terms of like how I grew up in terms of being exposed to things like that when it comes to drugs, sex, physical abuse, all these other aspects. When I came to the UK, it was for a new life. It was to escape all the shit I was going through as a child, and it was freedom, or it was meant to be. But then when I came here, there was so much shit that had happened, and to the point where, like, I'll get into all these different stories and how everything actually evolved. But the reason why I'm even in the UK and I have stay in the UK, indefinite leave to remain, is because I had to apply and write a 5,000 word document explaining everything that would happen to me as a child in detail so immigration wouldn't send me back because I was so scared. And when I showed my girl Naomi this document, who knows very little about me, but we've always just been drawn to each other, she was shocked, and she was like, she hasn't even read the whole document, but she's looked at it and she's like, I don't know how you're gonna start this or where you're gonna start. You just need to talk, because that's incredible. And it makes me so sad, and it hits me, guys, because at the end of the day, it's like a lot of people that know little things about me, it doesn't matter that they know these little things about me, because they may not know everything, but they know like bits and bobs. They still want to wonder why I am the way I am. They still try to bring out this side of me that isn't like who I am today. And this is gonna be hard. So if I start tearing up a little bit, like, you can fuck off. I'm not like this type of person. It's just because this is the first time. And it's weird because I can talk about these things. I can talk about being raped. I can talk about being abused and all these things. And I'm so desensitized to all these things that I've personally been through because I've had to talk about it so much in order to get where I am now. So being upset about it is not normal for me personally, because I don't normally get upset, and I understand it's a normal reaction. But if I start feeling a little bit emotional, it's because I know I'm doing something that I wanted to do, which is talk and to set the narrative straight. And that's what I'm trying to do. And that's why Uncomfortable Chats needs to evolve to be something that people just talk about things. And instead of people judging them and looking at them and being like, oh, what? She's pretty. She must be a bitch. Oh, she's like this or she's like that because of someone's looks, and or how they walk or how they talk, or like just judging people off of face value. And I hate it. Like, I've always hated it. So I wanted to create this to demonstrate that you can be successful and you don't have to be what you're made to be. So to touch upon a little bit of everything, I guess, I'm in this country because I had to write that document, and because immigration, bear in mind, I'm from the States. I'm not from a third world country where I'm a refugee and I can't go back. There's no extending circumstances why I can't go back to the States. But because of what I've gone through and because of how scared I was to go back, I couldn't. I didn't want to. There was no way. So when they read this document and they found out everything that I was going through and had happened to me, they gave me indefinite leave to remain. So that says enough in itself. And then the life I've created here, I've really worked on myself for me not to be angry, for me not to be resentful, for me to forgive, for me to be loving, to be caring, because I wasn't taught how to love. I was taught to be violent, to be aggressive, to be angry, to be manipulative, to be secretive. My biological mom, me and her, I went to court against her. Long story short, And I was fighting for half custody of my sister when I was 15, 16 years, no, yeah, about 15 years old. So she got diagnosed. So this isn't something I'm just spitting out, right? That I grew up with a diagnosed, like, extreme narcissist. And someone who would look at me when I would tell her I'm being raped by my dad, I'm being abused, so is my other two sisters, and look at me like, and tell me I was crazy. She would look me in my eyes and tell me I was crazy. So this person on that extreme level, the reason why I even give that example is because for you to understand that that person would be completely self-absorbed in themselves. I don't know how I'm gonna do this, right? I don't know how to structure this, guys. I don't know where to start. And I don't know if I'm even starting this the right way. And I don't know how to do this right now. But I guess I need to find a way to kind of talk about everything in order where it would make sense. Okay, so I guess the way to start this is the person I am now, and my ex always would say, like, I don't understand how loving and how caring you are. Like, how are you this person after everything you've been through? Bear in mind, he knew surface level shit. Because people only want to know how much they actually ask, if that makes sense. Because if people don't ask questions about you, they actually don't care to know. That's the reality. And some people don't want to pry. Cool, I hear it. But at the end of the day, if you want to know, you're going to ask questions. If someone doesn't want to talk about something, they're going to tell you. But a lot of people around me know as much as they know based on how interested they are in me and how I am as a person. And he would always say, how are you so loving? How are you so caring? Like, how are you this person today? And it's because I didn't want to be what I was growing to be. Now, when I was growing up, I was physically abused on basically fucked up levels. Like, I was shown love, but love in the sense where hitting me was a sign of love. Telling me I love you from my parents and giving me affection and hugs and kisses and all these things always came under a condition. It was always after you hit me, after you raped me, after you told me I was crazy, after you manipulated me and made me feel like I was a problem child and making me feel like, and building this monster in me. And to give you guys like different types of context, right? So my biological dad versus my mom. Like, my mom, they both were crackheads. They both smoked crack, but they were functioning crackheads, which is insane. But because they had money, and I went through moving to house, whether it was a freaking gorgeous 5-bedroom house on the beach, to in plantation on fucking a river, to being in the ghetto, like in a 1-bedroom apartment. So there was just a lot of different times where it was never stable. I didn't go to school when I was younger. I didn't go to, kindergarten, middle school / like UK times. I'm getting nervous, I don't know why, so ignore me. But I didn't go to school until I was 10 years old. And the only reason I went to school was because social services had been called multiple different times, and we were taught to obviously always say, mommy's an actor, daddy's an actor, and they're models. Obviously, we knew what was going on. We'd be driving in the car and I'd be hearing fucking stories about how one of the girls on set had a freaking glass break inside of her with a freaking camera. So we knew, let alone that is bare minimum type of fucking that's being said around us. So I didn't go to school until I was 10 in the States, and I went for a year. And that is even a different part of a story that I want to go into, because that will then go into how race became a big thing, right? And the differentiation between white and black in the States. Like, obviously, then you have Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, and all these other races, but like there was a very clear definition or differentiation between white and black, right? Especially growing up in a very racist household. And this is where when people say to me, racism is taught, I'm an example of that, because I never saw color as a kid, but I was like almost tried to be programmed as a kid that black people are bad. So I'm not even going to get into that right now, but to go into my mom, she would not physically abuse you, but mentally abuse you. And then my dad would beat the living shit out of me and my sisters. My dad would rape us. My dad would manipulate us, and they would both use me and my sisters against each other and against them. So growing up, you kind of realize, like, and I always knew right from wrong, and I don't know how I knew right from wrong. I was always the problem child because I didn't agree with this, or I didn't agree with that, or I would ask questions. And I've always been that way even now. And I guess that's why in certain roles that I've had, like in terms of employment, my employers and me have not always seen eye to eye, because I've always asked questions. And if I think something's wrong, I speak. Obviously, there's a time and place and there's how you say it, but like, there's black and white, right and wrong. So basically, my mom, and because I was the fat child in the house, because my sisters were skinny, big chest, no bum, skinny, not saying like, we just look completely different. I was the fat one. I was the overweight one. I was the one that had curly hair. I was the one that looked very different from them. And there was always a question in my mind if my biological dad was actually my dad, because there had been a comment where he said that she had cheated on him. Bear in mind, these two were always cheating on each other. Like, me and my sisters would meet the girlfriend of my dad's partner. My mom would introduce us to the boyfriend, and we would see multiple different men come in and out. And because my mom wasn't around, because she was always out of the country or just not there, and it's because she was working, making movies, and escorting abroad, my dad was the one that was more present. And that was like not always the case, because there would be times where he'd just leave us and we weren't getting taken care of. We were being hit, we were being taught how to fight, but then being beaten. So then it became a thing where I basically was always the one who was the fighter in the family. I was the protector. When it came to my dad hitting my sisters, I'd be the one that would be running in the room, jumping on his back, punching him, hitting him, but then getting thrown across the room, getting punched in the face. And we're talking about, this is like, I'm like 6 years old up, before I left, and even younger. And I feel like I've suppressed a lot of things because of who I am now. Sometimes I look back at the things that have happened to me and I think, did that actually really happen? Or am I crazy? Because the person I am now versus who I was is completely different, right? And I'm just going off little bits of information to give you guys, to kind of give you an understanding that, like, I had a very fucked up childhood. And there was a lot of times where I tried to get help from the authorities in the States. And I remember one time in Plantation, the police were called from my neighbors, and the police officers came, social workers came, and because there was no evidence of anything, there was nothing they could do. And because my parents had a lot of money, I don't know if they were paying and certain people off or how they were doing it, right? But they were getting away with it. And one of the police officers gave me a burner phone, and she told me, call me anytime anything is going on. And I remember calling her and her telling me that she couldn't come because she illegally gave me that phone. So unless someone else calls, she can't come. I remember when I did go to school in the States for a year, that everyone knew what was going on. I was getting into fights left, right, and center. Not with girls, with guys. And the type of school I went to, like, you had to go through a metal detector, and like, it was just fucked. Like, we had security, we had police officers. And yeah, it was that whole mentality of like, we go outside, we're fighting. And I wasn't as feminine as I am now because I was more tomboyish. I was very aggressive, and I was always fighting. Not necessarily guys, not necessarily girls, guys. Because me and my sister went to an all-black school because the white school across the road from us wouldn't accept us because we had no history of our academic and like our schooling and how far we've come, etc. So the black school took us in. So I quickly from a young age saw the division in race in the States, and I always hated it, and it never made sense to me. And even that, but anywho, we're not even going to get into that too much. What I want to get into is coming here was meant to be my escape from everything. And in order for me to escape everything that happened in the States, coming here was meant to be different. Now, I don't know how to start, because I feel like there's so much information that I'm giving right now that not all of it's going to make sense, right? And I'm going to eventually go into talking about stories and things like that. But I guess what's important for you to understand now, the person I am now versus the person I was growing up, was I was grown to be, and I was groomed to be very sexualized, to see sex is validation in terms of love, in terms of abuse was norm, and so was infidelity. So people cheating on each other, not having stable relationships, and people lying, manipulating, and just there's so much to unpack out of it. But there's all of the things that I was pre-exposed to. But I was basically meant to be a porn star. I was meant to be an escort. I was meant to be a sex worker. But I never wanted that for myself from a young age. And it sounds insane, but I just knew right from wrong, and I knew I didn't want to be that. And growing up, I was made to be very aggressive, very angry, and my mom and dad would use me against them, or against each other. My mom would label me as her protector, and my dad would teach me how to fight but then punch me in the face. And that's why my knuckles are so big, because he used to get me and my sister to punch brick walls. So that's why they're like that. And that's why growing up, anytime I got into fights, I basically would black out. Not because I didn't have control, but because it was a fight or flight mechanism where I either fought, like when I was fighting, I thought I need to kill this person, because if I don't kill them, they're gonna kill me. And it was because of what he used to do to me, where I had done all these different martial arts, and I had trained to be a fighter, but then you would beat the living shit out of me. And then, for example, like I remember growing up, and then my mom would be in the bedroom with him and they'd be doing crack or whatever they're doing in that room, and you could smell it. But her calling out my name and me waking up hearing her screaming out my name and me trying to bust down the door and come in and fight my dad as a kid, and him beat me, and her say, she's gonna be the one that hits you, she's my protector, and like pre-program all these like things into my head that I have to be a protector, I have to be aggressive, I have to be this, I have to be that. So then growing up, like that's how I was all of these things that didn't feel natural to me. And yes, I'm a kid, it doesn't make sense that I knew right from wrong, or that I didn't want to feel this way, or the way that they were making me behave wasn't normal. Like I was always trying to run away. Like the amount of times that the police bring me back to the house is stupid. And yeah, so who I am now, being so loving, caring, nurturing, empathetic, understanding, I'm honest, I don't like liars. I hate people that lie. I hate people that try to manipulate. I hate people that try to gaslight. All of these things that I just see as, listen, either you're going to tell the truth or you're not. Either you're forthcoming or you're not. Like, this is where I don't like when people mistreat other people. I don't like seeing other people get bullied. That's why even when I was in this country and I started going to school, when I started seeing people get bullied by other people, I'd stand up for that person because I wanted to be different. But then still that protector in me that was bred and meant to be like that still came out. I don't know how to open up this story, right? So I'm gonna I need to find a way where either if you guys want to know more, then I can go into detail. Like it's something that I want this platform to be about, which is things that are uncomfortable, and to talk about it and to show you don't have to be what you were grown to be. And that's why this is so important for me to do this myself, to set an example. Because again, being misunderstood and people thinking that, oh, she just has it so easy and she's so pretty, oh, she has this, she has that. Mate, if you fucking knew. Like, I've had fucking ass beaten. I've had my mom sit there and I'm fucking crazy that my dad's raping me, even though you knew he was raping us, and your youngest daughter would tell you that daddy is touching me. And I would tell you, and your eldest daughter, who isn't even his daughter, would tell you that he was raping her, and he also got hooked on other shit, and all this other shit happened, and you would sit there and say that I'm crazy. And the only time you wanted to believe me was when you decided you didn't want to be with him, right? Because they would always break up and get back together. So that's the whole point of this, is for me to talk about things that are uncomfortable and to demonstrate going through all of these things and carrying all this trauma and then healing, reprogramming, and then even when things trigger you and you go through life and you go through more experiences where things are gonna like shape you as an adult, because as we get older, I feel like we just develop even more trauma and experiences and triggers and things that we constantly have to work on and ensure that we don't turn into something that we don't want to be, or allow the world to shape us into something we don't want to be. So as an adult, like, I've gone through years and years and years of healing where I don't want to be like how I was meant to be. I have abandonment and attachment issues because my biological sister, my younger sister, who was with me in the UK, just one day just left me. Me being left as a child, me not being protected as a child, me not having any stability as a child, me not knowing how to read until I was 11, I didn't really know how to read until I started going to the first school in the States, which is when I was 10, and then I was only in that school for a year, and then I got pulled out. And then I came here when I was 13, 14, wasn't going to school, and the shit that was happening here was fucked. But it was better than what was happening in the States, so choose your poison, basically. Stay with a narcissist who would just leave you, or stay with a fucking ex-body fucking black belt crackhead who's gonna physically abuse you, sexually abuse you, but also because he's on crack half the time, he sometimes just leaves. So you don't know if he's gonna come and hit you or do something. You don't know. You don't know if he's gonna come back or just leave you for a few days. You don't know. You don't know if you're gonna eat. You don't know. So you kind of pick your poison, right? So yeah, like, I just think I am blessed to be the person I am today, and I just hate that people will sit there and think that I had it so easy, because from learning how to read and having to integrate myself into the UK and the UK schooling system, I started going to school here in just mid-year 9. And when I started going to school here, like, I didn't know my multiplications. I didn't know all these things. I had to work 10 times harder, and I'm blessed because I had amazing teachers that really looked out for me, and counselors in the school that kept an eye on me. And like, I was doing athletics, I was doing things that I was meant to be doing because she had to put me into school. She had to put my little sister in school. Like, it got to a point because of immigration and everything else that she had no choice but to put us in school. But it's not because she wanted to. And there's more to this story, and I'm skipping bits and bobs, and I will eventually go into everything in a bit more depth and kind of talk about the US and talk about the UK and culture-wise how that was a big shock, and also just the two different experiences in my life as a young child, and then going into a teenager, and then being a teenager in the UK. So eventually I'll explore that with everyone, but the whole point of this is to address being misunderstood and people trying to paint me out to be something I'm not, and understand that I am a very loving, caring person, and anyone that has ever had anything bad to say to me or about me, the question you need to ask yourself is, how far did you push me for me to then react or to respond to you? Because I've genuinely made it my life mission to not be what I was made to be. And I'm so loving and caring, and growing up, like, all I wanted was a family. All I wanted was people around me that loved me and cared about me. So I overcompensated for a lot of things and always tried to prove that I was lovable because I didn't receive love from my family and from like that aspect. So even when I was in foster care here, that was a fucked up dynamic in itself. The last foster home, no, it wasn't, but the first two were fucked. And you'd have people tell me all the time, adults, not just my parents, like, when they started finding out things I had been through, and they'd be like, oh, I want to protect you, I want to be there for you. And then you find out that actually you're stealing money from me, or you're manipulating me. What you've just said to my sister is fucked. I can't stand for that. There's a lot of things that had happened here and in the UK or in the States. So that's why, for me to be as loving as I am now, and as caring, as genuine as what people see, when people really fuck me over, like, I've never been good with my words. I've only ever been good with walking away or hitting something, because that's what I've been taught. And over the years, I've tried to get better with talking and articulating myself and speaking up. And because I was always told to be quiet and to lie and to not be honest about the things that are happening in my household, as a kid, it kind of pre-programmed you, well, me, to be like someone who was mute. I couldn't talk. So when I did start talking about the things that were happening, and my social worker, because I had to put myself in foster care, long story short, because my biological mom's boyfriend hit me and we got in a fight, and one thing led to another, and next thing you know, she's trying to send me to jail. That's another story. But I had put myself in foster care, and when I got like put into the social care system, even that whole process at first was fucked, because I got sent back to my mom's house, and the state of what I got sent back to was fucked, because yeah, there's a lot of things, and I want to go into everything into detail so people understand and people can relate, because that's what this whole platform is about. But again, being misunderstood, and when you have people that are sitting there and they're trying to make you out to be something that you're not, my whole thing is, people are always gonna try to make you out to be something you're not, right? Because it's a reflection of themselves, and that took a long time. And when you learn to love yourself and to constantly keep telling yourself you're not what you're meant to be, what they wanted you to be, because it wasn't what I was meant to be. I correct that. What they wanted me to be. I am so fucking proud of the person I am today, that when people try to take the piss out of me or manipulate me, or I see people do things that just don't make sense. Like, why would you do that? You don't need to be a bad person. You don't need to be a liar. You don't need to do this. You don't need to be deceiving. You don't need to hurt that person. Why are you doing it? This is why I'm such a justful person. Like, because I don't want people around me that are fucked up shit to other people. I wouldn't stand for it. And I'm a protector. Like, that's how I've always been. I'm a protector and I'm a healer. I've healed myself, and I've always tried to look out for people that are trying to also heal themselves. And when I see people going through shit in life, I just see it. And what I just don't understand, and what even my girl Naomi said was, I don't understand why people try to make you out to be something like in their head, when like this confidence that you project, where you can walk in a room and be yourself, or you talk. Like, she said it perfectly. She said other people see that as intimidating, or she thinks that, oh, she's fucking shit, or this or that, rah-ta-ta. Whereas she can see that someone that's holding weight and baggage is trying not to be what their past is, and is trying to hide that almost. So I can see in other people, and I just don't understand, when people see me, they just have this perception of me that they want to paint of me to them, like, about me. And I'm tired of it, because the reason why it even matters is everything I've had to do in my life, whether it's create opportunities for myself, create jobs, find jobs, interviews, like, I've always had to work 10 times harder. And it's as crazy as that sounds, because academically I'm not on the same level as a lot of people, and not saying that everyone's on the same level, or there's other people that it's not about that, right? I didn't know how to read. I was told that I was stupid. I didn't know how to do maths. So there was this concept and thing that was put, like, pre-programmed in my brain, that I would never be good enough. So again, that whole mentality of like having to overcompensate for everything. When I started going for interviews or creating, like, doing certain things, like, I was always very driven as a child. If I wanted to do something, I was going to do it. If I need to find a way, I'm going to find a way. And that was the resilience in me, and the determination, which has always been in me. And I don't know how I had it or how I created it, but it's always been that way. And it's because no matter what tried to break me down, I knew it didn't feel right. I didn't want to do it. So I didn't. So when I've had to do interviews or create opportunities, or like to get a job, I remember this recruitment job, I had to do 3-4 different interviews, which, all right, fine. Some stages are normal, right, in the interviewing process. Why did I have to do a 3-hour interview and talk about my whole life story, top to bottom? Like, it would, and try to convince that employer that these are all the things I've gone through. And because this employer wanted to know everything about me and was so intrigued by my story, I had to go into everything in depth. Why is it, in order, my first recruitment job, my past got thrown in my face by someone. Why is it when I was going to school that when a guy that I didn't like tried to talk to me, instead of him just accepting it, he makes a comment and says, go back and get raped by your dad? Why is it that any time that people either didn't like me, they used my past against me if they knew, or they would make me have to prove that I'm good enough to be here? Even like in the gym now, right? I had to work 10 times harder to get into this position that I'm in because some people didn't like me, but they didn't even know me. And it's just been the story of my life, in every fucking circumstance. I remember in order for me to even do psychology in, college, because academically I didn't meet the requirements 100%, I went to every single individual teacher and sat there and had to plead my case and beg them and ask them. There's always, I've always just had to go 10 times further and work 10 times harder to achieve things. So that's why it just hurts when people sit there and people are like, oh, you have it so easy, or you have it this, or you have it. I'm like, mate, if only you knew how fucking hard I've worked to get here, let alone stay in this country. I've had to sit there and write a fucking document talking about different stories of my physical abuse, of my mental abuse, like stories in detail, which eventually I'll share this document because I don't feel no type of way about it, but having to go into so much detail and describe how your father raped you in so much detail that whoever reads this is so horrifically horrified for you to go back because you're scared that this person is going to kill you. Because that person said to you, if you ever tell anyone, I will kill you. And you know this person. Now that I've been in the UK and now he knows I've spoken about it and I've told people, you want to try to send me back? Oh, hell no. Hell fuck. So I've done everything physically possible in order to like overcome not being someone who like naturally as a child was able to talk about things, to then growing up as a teenager having to talk about things, looking for justice and praying for someone to actually help you, even though in the past anytime you were honest about anything that was happening in your household, no one would help you. Now you are, and you're working 10 times harder, and people also don't believe you 100%. It's almost like what you're saying is crazy, because I get it. Like, the shit I've gone through versus the person I am today, it looks crazy. I even sometimes think, how the fuck did I turn this shit around? But I just know I'm incredible. And I'm so fucking proud of myself. For me to work and achieve what I have now in this country and to be the person I am today, this is why I'm just so, either you want to be in my life or you don't. Either you love me for who I am or you don't. Either you appreciate me for who I am or you don't. Like, if you don't, take care of fucking day. And if you do, you do. But just being misunderstood, and it's just been the fucking theme of my life. So I wanted to break that by being able to start this and to start talking about things that are uncomfortable, and to demonstrate a certain level of vulnerability so people understand that, like, even if you're misunderstood, even if people are judging you, even if people are projecting their own fucking shit on you, because I've had so much fucking shit said to me that it's just confusing. Don't listen to it. If you stay true to yourself, if you stay honest to yourself, and you stay on your path, sometimes we get thrown off our path, and that's fine. But don't ever beg for anyone to stay. Don't ever feel like you're not good enough. When you start loving yourself, you start feeding this in yourself. Do you know how many times I've had to look in the mirror and say I'm beautiful? How many times I've had to look in the mirror and say I'm smart, because I had this big, like, insecurity about the fact that I was like, I can't read out loud. I can't read. I'm scared. I'm so scared. These things that we create in our mind that we make so big that they don't make any sense, that they control the way we think and we feel about ourselves. Even to the point where now, like, people look at me and go, oh, she wears those things for attention. Babe, if only you fucking knew. Like, because I was the fat kid growing up and I wasn't, the standard like my sisters, I didn't have the chest like them. I didn't have the nice small physique as them. I was the bigger kid. I was a tomboy. I had curly hair. No one knew how to help me take care of my hair. Do you know how I had to learn how to take care of my hair? When we lived in the ghetto, my neighbor, 2 Jamaican ladies, and I had a Nigerian woman, they're the ones that taught me how to take care of my hair. When I came to this country, guess what? My Jamaican friends, my African friends taught me how to take care of my hair. No one else, like, growing up, my biological mom, she didn't know how to do my hair. She started bleaching it blonde, because it needed to be, blonde. And straightening that shit. My hair wouldn't stay straight because of the fucking community in the States. And this is why sometimes it's like, I would question myself, am I actually my dad's daughter? I don't know. Because, yes, we can all have features. Oh, my hip is hurting. This is what happens when you get old. I don't 100% know. And because of the comments that have been made, and also if you're able to feed your wife birth control pills for 9 months, like, you really wanted to kill me. Make no sense. But anywho, the whole point is, you do not need to prove yourself to no one, and I don't need to prove myself to no one. And that is why I stand strong in the person I am today and how I treat people and how I love people. And I know that I give my 100% to anyone that's in my life. If you're in my life, or even if we've had interactions, I'm not an ass, I'm not a rude person. I have manners. I say please, I say thank you, I say excuse me. I speak to people with kindness, with giving people the benefit of the doubt. But at the end of the day, like, you just need to be yourself, because this is what's so important. And when people are so confused about how I am today, it's because I've not allowed my experiences and my childhood to shape the person I want to be, the wife I want to be, the mother I want to be, the life I want to create myself, the person I carry myself to be. And the whole point about feeling embarrassed about, like, my skin growing up, I used to wear over baggy t-shirts and not feel comfortable in my skin because I didn't want to be sexualized. Now, I don't give a fuck, because I'm comfortable in my own skin. I wear what I want to wear, whatever I'm comfortable in, and I do what I want to do when I want to do it and how I want to do it. As long as I ain't hurting no one else, I don't give a fuck. So my mentality as an adult now, and with the people in my life, if you're in my life, you're in my life because we both want to be in each other's life and we are actively pouring into those relationships with each other. But I don't have people in my life anymore which I'm trying to earn their love, or it's on a conditional basis where if I'm not there helping you, cooking for you, being there for you, all these other things, then you don't want me in your life, or I'm not good enough. Nah. This is a mutual exchange. And that's why now I'm just the person that I was before, the person I am now, and anyone that I've ever had experiences with, that's friends, family, partner, like, I've always given my 100%. But if you're no longer in my life, there's a reason why you're no longer in my life, because you don't suit the version of me now. Like, not saying people are bad people or they need to change themselves, because I'm not going to speak up on other people, but I'm constantly trying to protect myself, heal myself, unlearn behaviors, unlearn triggers and trauma, and reinforce who I want to be and the person I am, and the true, like, version of myself, what actually feels right for me. So the whole point is, if people are going to misjudge you and make you out to be something you're not, sometimes there's absolutely no fucking reason to change that narrative they have in their mind, because they're going to think what they want to think. But for the people that are being misunderstood and being painted out to be something that they're not, and have worked really fucking hard not to be what they were grown to be, well, fuck. Because from speaking from experience, it ain't easy. And just because this shit, we make it look easy right now, doesn't mean it was fucking easy. And doesn't mean that we're still not dealing with shit and working on shit. And at the end of the day, there's no point trying to settle for people being in your life just to have people in your life. The amount of times and periods of my life where I've had absolutely no one, that's cool. I am better being on my own. Another thing is learning how to be on your own. I love my own company. I love being in a family setting. Do I feel a little bit awkward within family settings nowadays? Like, because of my experience growing up and not really having that, and then seeing an example of what a family could look like, but then seeing toxicity within that family and like how they could treat each other. That also, like, there's certain things I don't like. So you can create your own family, and even if you didn't have like a good biological mom or dad, you can create your own family. Like, will you go through stage figuring out in life who that family is going to consist of? Yes. But it can be done. And even like having a family, that's like, it's not the main thing that you should be focusing on, right? When you focus on just, okay, can I be alone by myself? Can I talk to myself? I talk to myself in the mirror all the fucking time. Do you love yourself? And yes, we go through stages where we don't love each other, like love ourselves. You need to keep on reinforcing that. You don't end up loving yourself and loving who you are right now, because that's like one moment in your life. And then the next thing happens and it fucks you up. And now you don't know. You're looking in the mirror, You're looking in the mirror thinking, oh, I'm not happy with this, I'm not happy with that. Mate, you constantly need to fucking reinforce that you love yourself and that you're happy with who you are. So the whole point is, this journey ain't easy, but you just gotta keep doing it. But this is, I guess, the first episode. It is all over the place. I am gonna try to chop it up and put it out for you guys, and I'm gonna try to break this up so it makes sense, in terms of like the US experience versus the UK, and then growing up and then going through different parts of it. But I guess this whole point is just, if people misunderstand you, fuck it. Yeah, but if you're doing people wrong, fucking up. Like, don't be a bad person, don't be a fucked up person. Like, don't lie, don't cheat, don't be dishonest, don't be deceiving. Just try to be a good person. I guess that a good person is just someone, like, right from wrong. Like, be you, stand up for yourself. Don't let people take the piss out of you. Don't let people disrespect you. But that doesn't mean you need to wild out on people and react in certain ways. Sometimes silence is good. But just trying to figure out what type of person you want to be, and then implementing that, and then practicing it. And the more you practice who you want to be and how you want to be, the easier it gets for it to become second nature. And that's what I've done. And now, like, sometimes I look and I'm like, how the fuck did I get here? But I know how I got here, but it's because I've pushed everything so far to the back of my mind that it's like, I forget how far I've come. But then what's important is I always look back and I always show gratitude to myself, even if I don't, even if sometimes I'm like, oh, like, that was hard. I don't necessarily need to feel the emotion of it, but I feel like the happiness for who I am now, and not necessarily the pain I felt in that moment, if that makes sense. So yes, this will be the first episode, and from this, it's gonna expand and grow, but we'll see from here. But everyone, take care, have a great day, and thank you very much for listening. If you have listened, if you haven't, that's your business. And I really don't want any like negative energy on this. And because I haven't talked about everything in a linear order, and because of my accent and all things, I just don't need people coming on here and just being hateful. I really just don't want it. So yeah, appreciate it. Take care. Have a fucking great day.